Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space. Hope you enjoy. Story number 1. Explosive Problem Solving, written by Average Cake Enjoyer. Jonathan sat at his workbench, tinkering with the next iteration of the Face Melter 5000 TM, as sparks flew off the exposed wires. Trying to force open a panel with a screwdriver, he manages to pry it open, but not before the screwdriver he used to pry it open snags a loose wire, breaking it. The wire wasn't for anything important, right? Probably not. Jonathan shrugged to himself as he went back to fiddle with the jumble of wiring and electronics in the drone. Well, that is until the drone he was working on started beeping, a red LED flashing from within, giving it an ominous glow. Well, that's not normal. He barely had the time to slap one of the palms over his eyes before the drone exploded, non-violently. Well, as non-violently as an explosion could be. Peeling his palm off of his face, he tentatively opens one of his eyes, only to be greeted by the sight of a newly made pile of scrap in front of him. That's unfortunate, he thought to himself, as he gave the broken drone a few experimental pokes with his screwdriver. He stared wide-eyed at the pile in front of him, mulling over the rapid, unintentional disassembly of a drone and how he could improve the patent-pending Facemaker 5000 TM in the future. He nearly just lost himself in his thoughts before one of his colleagues, Florb, waltzes through the door. "Human Jonathan, are you in here? One of the toilets in Block C is broken." Whatever words were about to come out of Florb's mouth died in her throat, a chocked sound resembling a muffled laugh escaping instead as Jonathan stared at her owlishly, the imprint of a hand where his eyes were acting as an island in the sea of black that his face was. "Are you a bit busy right now?" she said, mirth evident in her shaking voice, as she tried to not burst out into another fit of laughter. "Not anymore. My poor baby decided to go rogue and self-destruct. But that's in the past." He swiped an arm across his workbench, sending the remains of the drone to the floor. "What do you need me for?" That's right. One of the toilets is blocked and the plungers aren't working, so I thought maybe you could," she asked, pointing a tentacle outside. "Oh, that's it. Give me a second." Opening one of the drawers on his workbench, he pulled out a red sphere with a piece of string sticking out of it with a lighter before following her out. "All right, lead me to it." "So, human, what have you got in your hands?" she said as they walked. He gave her a non-committal shrug. The solution." Florb decided not to think too hard about Jonathan's ominous answer as she continued to lead him to their destination. It wasn't long after when they finally reached the bastardly toilet in question, the murky water in the bowl slightly too high to be normal. "Jesus, Mary and Joseph, what in the feck did you guys do to this thing?" Jonathan said, pinching his nose as he stared into the brown abyss. "Truthfully, I don't really know. All I know is that I saw a friend Kayala stumble out of here mumbling something about the Mexican food." Jonathan could only give her a solemn nod, giving the poor soul a quick prayer in his head. Poor bastard. He didn't deserve that. "He did seem a bit pale. Hopefully they're okay now." "They'll be feeling it for a while, unfortunately," he said, giving her a comforting pat on the back before he took the bowl and lighter. "Guess it's time to fix this. I really hope this is a good toilet bowl." Lighting the string on fire, he tossed the red ball into the water as he slammed the toilet lid down, sitting on top of it before quickly pulling Florb into his lap, eliciting an eep from her as he slammed his palms over her ears. "What in the seven hells are you doing?" Florb asked warily. "Cherry bomb." "Cherry what?" She only received a devious grin as an answer to her question before a muffled crack of thunder flooded the bathroom, Jonathan letting out a whoop of joy as the lid rumbled beneath him. Florb, on the other hand, could only squeal in surprise as she and Jonathan became unwilling participants in an impromptu testing of Newton's third law. The force of the explosion forced the blockage clear, but not before also sending Florb and Jonathan flying a foot or so into the air, careening into the far end of the bathroom. They slammed right into the wall, both of them letting out a subdued oof as they slid down, quickly becoming acquainted with the cold tiding of the floor. Jonathan, being the human that he was the first on their fleet as he approached the toilet, the lid still somehow closed after that all had just happened. He opened the lid of the toilet, Florb only seeing him snort in laughter as a wisp of smoke left the toilet bowl. Curious, she scrambled onto her feet so that she could see the disaster that unfolded. Peeking over Jonathan's shoulder, she was only met with the cleanest toilet bowl that she'd ever seen in her life. Apparently, whatever sorcery was in that red bowl had blasted the toilet shiny and empty. The murky water now nowhere to be seen. What the fuck? Jonathan could only laugh in amusement at Florb's reaction. Well, I'll be damned. This is a good toilet. Reaching over, he gave the toilet an experimental flush, a smile forming on his face as he saw fresh water refill the bowl. All fixed. Another day, another problem solved, he said triumphantly, giving the now slack-jawed Florb a pat on the back as he left the toilet. If you need something solved, you know where to find me. Even after he was long gone, she was still frozen in the spot, an owlish look painted on her face as she stared at the now sparkling toilet. What the fuck? End of story. Story number 2, Barbarians, written by British Tea Company. There's always this border area with the Morven Imperium that's considered to be the worst place in the whole Imperium to be assigned to. The Fringe Zone, as named officially by mappers, and the Death Quadrant, as fondly nicknamed by anyone who passes in the area, was the arguably most dangerous sector of space, even accounting for the contested zones between the Imperium's constant aggressive expansion and the attempts to reclaim territory for the Imperium regime. So, the Death Quadrant sounds like some super dangerous zone in space, probably proliferated by death clouds or spatial horrors, or maybe even cosmic hazards such as maelstroms or black holes. Well, the reason why the Morven think the Fringe Zone is a death sentence for anyone who wanders there is barbarians. Apparently, barbarians can cause the Great Morven Empire to all shudder in collective fright, which is rather strange, given the Imperium's insistence that everyone is a barbarian, and they are a worthy master race. Now, while I don't want to justify their beliefs, the fact that they're the most powerful military force known in the galaxy does say one thing, and the fact that their technological advancement has progressed rapidly through the past centuries can say another. So this leads us back to the main question: what exactly is the Fringe Zone that's spooking the Morven people so much? Explorers have noted that space there is calm, a complete lack of anomalies, cosmic hazards, or deadly star-faring creatures. Leaked data from Morven scientists and astronauts indicate that the area of space over there has a lot of lush worlds, which by all rights should mean the Morven should be expanding in that direction, rather than this one. Well, the answer came just yesterday. The Morven Armada was stationed around a barren system on the lookout for barbarians when they detected gravitational anomalies at the edge of the system. Anyone who saw it had a good 1 second to look before an energy weapon with enough output to smite several dreadnoughts into ash and enough reach to accurately fire from a far end of the solar system tore apart several ships in rapid succession. The things that the Morven feared so greatly was a mammalian species known as humans. Their new weapon, the Sun Lance, was a product of human madness, which even the Morven engineering thought impossible. The ability to tame a star and weaponize should boggle enough minds today. Now, before anyone asks any more questions, we should actually be thankful to the Morven Imperium is bordering these humans. By God, They are barbarians in every sense of the word. End of story. I would just quickly like to thank the T5 channel members and patrons. Caspar Arnholtz, Cam Maxwell, Barkey, it's difficult to pronounce, Lord Azrakul, and Arcadian.